Good morning. Please take your seats, silence your phones, and turn your attention to the screens. Our program is about to begin.
The story of our startup is pre-solve and post-solve.
Welcome to Solve at MIT.
Our mission is to drive innovation to solve world challenges. We find the most promising innovators that are using technology to solve the problems of their community and of the world.
Tergimly is the world's most accessible translator and interpreter service.
At OM Gyno, we focus on sexual and reproductive health in the Middle East, where it is quite conservative.
EarthEnable is a social enterprise with the mission of making living conditions healthier and more dignified for rural families across the world.
Country like India, over 70% of schools do not have computers. That's where we come in.
The global nature of the problems we're dealing with are so big that no single institution or industry or country can deal with them all on their own.
This is not just about finding the innovators, but about pairing them with the organizations that will help them scale.
The network of MIT Solve is so powerful.
Access that they have to creative thinkers all over the world.
They're coming up with innovations that are informed by their communities, but are also taking advantage of the most amazing opportunities of technology. It's an incredibly exciting time.
This is where you drive innovation. This is where you build technology solutions for the future.
Solve made me feel like part of a global platform that I would have never reached from where I come from.
It has helped us think bigger and bolder.
Solve is the world we all want.
Solve is the best of humanity.
Solve is a powerhouse.
please welcome Hala Hanna, Executive Director, MIT Solve.
Good morning and welcome to Solve Challenge Finals 2024. You know, we're all coming from so many different places. As I was walking actually home here this morning, I called my mom and I was telling her all about this amazing week, and very unimpressed, like a real Lebanese mom, she said, so all these leaders talking climate, how is war and destruction good for climate? I might add, not great for people either, but she's right, again. But just all that to acknowledge that we're all coming into this room with a lot. But we are here now, together. And it's for the 8th year now that we've been kicking off Climate Week with Solve Challenge Finals, not just as participants in this global conversation, but as catalysts for real-world solutions. This has been our vision since the very beginning, and over the years, what we've seen is nothing short of remarkable. We've selected and supported 480 innovators. These folks are closest to the problem and therefore closest to the solution. But they're often furthest from power and resources. And we fix that with spotlight and support and funding. Thanks to our supporters, we've mobilized over $70 million in funding to those innovators. General Motors, Johnson & Johnson, GSR, Mortgage Family Foundation. Actually, fun fact, our newest supporter just came in, E-Ink, with $1 million. Do I see Mike here? Here you are, with $1 million over 3 years. This is what allows us to do this work and run this program so that our innovators scale their impact. 280 million lives. That is tens of thousands of refugee kids in Lebanon getting access to offline educational content in Arabic on laptops that were destined for the bin, thanks to Solver Zaki. That's a mother in Nairobi who does not have to decide between working and breastfeeding her newborn, thanks to Solver Maziwa, who created an affordable portable breast pump. I've got 400 more of these, but we're here today to discover the next wave of problem solvers, the 2024 Solver class. And from over 2,000 applicants, all the way down to just 30 who get to become solvers. Talk about beating the odds. Actually, let's take a moment and watch all together the moment we told them the news, shall we? Surprise!
Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi. We wanted to really thank you for putting so much care and so much thought into your application for MIT Solve's 2024 Global Challenges. Really, you making it to this point is quite an achievement in and of itself. Of all of these applications, you have been selected to join the 2024 Solver class.
Congratulations, everyone!
For the first time, we feel seen. Our entire team has been putting their sweat and tears for the past couple of years. So this is the most amazing recognition that that we have actually received to date.
This whole year with the economy has been so rough with the partners we talk to, and I keep telling my team, I know this year is really hard, but let's just keep going.
This represents one of the most diverse classes of award winners that I've ever seen on a type of award like this. That level of notoriety and what you're providing here is not something that is offered to voices like ours.
We work with war-affected children who, as I think many of you know, often feel like their lives don't matter, much less their education, for the opportunity to change that impression for them and to let them know that they're not forgotten, but that their futures matter absolutely just as much as anyone else.
I want the same upbringing for my grandson. I want him to be able to have and enjoy the type of cultural and beautiful way of life that I've had. And I'm grateful to find myself in an organization, in a group with others that have very similar circumstances and that we can learn from one another and lean on one another. So thank you so much, MIT. This will be life-changing.
Solvers, actually, can I ask you to stand up so we can see you and celebrate you? The 2024 Solver class. This is my favorite call to do all year. Thank you. And well done to our judges who selected such a diverse and impressive class, which you will get to meet today. You will hear them pitch throughout the program. You'll witness how our prize funders are fueling their work with much needed unrestricted capital as we announce over $1 million in prize funding. And you'll figure out how to work together to scale impact. Today, we will experience what tech can do when it's put at the service of people and of closing equity gaps. Because recently we've seen these extraordinary strides in technology, leaving us breathless and widening the gap for those left behind. It's hard to believe the destination is a better future without trust. Trust in each other, in the technology we're building, in our institutions. So before the pitches, we wanted to start with conversations around that. To kick us off, I am pleased to welcome our first speaker. He exemplifies MIT's ethos of mobilizing the brightest mind and the boldest ideas to solve real-world problems. Here's MIT's Chancellor for Academic Advancement and Sol Steering Committee member, Eric Grimson.
Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning. Thank you. I have the honor of serving as MIT's Chancellor for Academic Advancement and as a member of the Solve Steering Committee. In those roles, it's my pleasure both to welcome you to this event and to thank you for helping us advance Solve's priorities. Now, although many of our faculty don't know it, MIT has a mission statement, and that mission statement is a little different than many of our peers. Our mission statement says that we educate students, we create knowledge, and we apply that knowledge to the great challenges of the nation and the world. And it's that last part that's a little different. And we see it reflected in the passion with which our students and faculty tackle real-world problems and seek solutions that can have significant impact. The goal isn't just to understand a problem and find a solution. It's to apply it at scale to real problems. MIT knows that great ideas can come from anyone, anywhere. And so we provide mentoring, support, and other ways to encourage students and faculty to be bold. Solve builds on that mission in a powerful way. It captures that spirit of innovation that pervades MIT and finds matches in innovators who embody that desire for impact at scale. Like MIT, Solve knows that great ideas can come from anyone, anywhere. And like MIT, Solve finds ways to provide mentoring, support, other ways to empower those innovators to be equally bold. Now, while MIT researches on many topics, a recurring theme is to find solutions that are both equitable and sustainable. We not only seek knowledge that furthers our understanding, we look for solutions that are widely accessible and will impact those in most need. Creating innovations in healthcare to make them more accessible, delivering educational experiences to underserved communities, novel approaches to clean energy, resilient crops that reduce ecological impact, new methods to create and preserve clean water. You'll see many of these themes in the presentations today, demonstrating how Solve supports MIT's mission by enabling innovators from anywhere to tackle challenges in the spirit of MIT. So I hope you find today informative, thought-provoking, inspirational, and that you'll continue to partner with Solve and MIT to empower innovations that create a prosperous and sustainable future for all. Thank you.
And now, Lauren Marks, Global Head, Partnerships and External Affairs, Johnson & Johnson Global Health Equity.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you all, to be here with you all today, representing Johnson & Johnson. I know we're here for a full day of inspiration. The Johnson & Johnson Foundation believes in the promise of a world without health inequities. Thanks to our work with MIT Solve and championing the incredible work solver teams are doing across the globe, we are brought that much closer to making our aspirations a reality. With that, I am delighted to announce the Johnson & Johnson Foundation as MIT Solve's inaugural Global Health Equity Anchor supporter. Our commitment to Solve's global health equity work will help to ensure the success of Solve's innovator support programs and the health entrepreneurs it serves. As part of that commitment, the Foundation is pleased to provide incremental prize funding with the Health Equity Innovation Award to all 6 Health Solver teams. NIADA, SANS, Open Flexure Microscope, ThriveLink, Medibot, Amar Doctor. Solvers, please join me on the stage to accept this award. Congratulations, and we look forward to working with you all to scale your work to make good health and access to quality care more equitable for all.
Joining Lauren Marks, please welcome Kristen Seaman, Vice President and Chief Sustainability Officer, General Motors, and moderator Brendan Vaughn, Editor-in-Chief, Fast Company.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, that Zoom video, just goosebumps. I mean, can I get that every Monday of my life? Start my week with something like that. Let's get into it. So, General Motors, Johnson & Johnson, huge organizations, complex organizations. The work that you do is essential, and yet it can also be challenging to sort of maintain authenticity in this kind of social impact work when coming from organizations with the scale and complexity of yours. Both of you work in these areas. So how do you ensure that this work has real and large impact while also navigating the complexity of your organizations and the pressures of the sort of the global nature of the approach? So Lauren, why don't we start with you?
Sure. I think core to the social impact work for us at Johnson & Johnson is partnerships. It's partnerships with organizations like you. It's internal partnerships within our company where we're able to look across our employee base and figure out what skills and expertise do we have that we can offer to innovators and entrepreneurs like those here in the room today. It's external partnerships where we hope to connect entrepreneurs to others in this ecosystem who may be doing similar work or complementary work and may be able to help take these exciting innovations to scale. So I think those internal and external partnerships help us navigate the space and grow the impact that you all are achieving.
Thank you. Kristen.
I could just say ditto, but
Right.
That's probably not what you want me to say. But I totally agree with Lauren. It really is all about collaboration and how we work together to really move things forward and to have a larger impact. And I think you can have a much larger impact doing it together. I mean, at GM, our focus really is around innovation, jobs creation, and American competitiveness. And if you think about partnerships like we have here at MIT Solve, on the small spark of what this could really mean in the long term and the big impact it can have. You know, we're a company of engineers that are working every day for those innovations that are going to change the world. I'm an engineer by degree, even though I work now in a different role, but you know, it's that innovative spirit that I think drives us to find those technologies, the product innovations, et cetera, that can really have a big impact.
Yeah, that engineering background must really help you translate that effectively, you know. So let's talk about value chains. So big corporations like yours, you wield huge value chains, right? So this can amplify impact, but it also comes with challenges. So what do partnerships look like when leveraging these kinds of chains for large-scale social good? And how do you ensure that equity and sustainability are seen as genuine and long-term priorities when you're building this relationships with innovators and their communities? We can keep the same order.
Sure.
Okay.
So I'll start by saying.
I'll take my answer.
Yeah. Actually, maybe I should mix it up. But yes, go ahead, Lauren.
I work for a part of Johnson & Johnson, the Johnson & Johnson Foundation, called Global Health Equity. So everything we do is sort of focused on equity and innovation. But it's also inherent to the work our company does overall. We try and ensure equity in the clinical trials we do as a business or in the supplier networks that we work with. But I want to go back to say that across our employees, much like Kristen shared, you know, you have engineers, we have health professionals, we have supply chain experts, we have patient insights experts and data analytic experts, the things that companies have by nature. And all of these people within our company want to contribute to health equity and social impact. And so we make those resources available through different secondment programs where we offer up our talent to innovators like you.
Yeah, I mean, so at General Motors, if you think about our supply base, we have well over 20,000 suppliers that we work with on a daily basis to put our products into production. And so if you think about our impact on the world and even just focusing just on our carbon footprint, the biggest impact we can make there is around our products and our transition to an all-electric future, which is technically it's 69% of our carbon footprint is the customer usage of our vehicles. But the next biggest piece is our supply chain. And so while we are well on our way in making an impact on our own, we can't do it by ourselves. And our suppliers are key in that future and in really having the solutions in place to be able to get to the future that we're all looking for of a zero emissions future. And so one of the things we've done is we've asked our suppliers to make their own commitments around sustainability, both from a net zero future impact as well as score on EcoVadis, which gets into the impact that they're having in the community. So EcoVadis is an organization that assesses companies on how they're doing things like fair labor practices, human rights, et cetera. And so we really want to work together with our suppliers on these solutions, everything from technology innovations, but really the impact that we're having in our communities around the world.
So you've both touched on this, but let's talk for a second about scale, because there's a massive difference in the scale of your organizations and the partners like Solvers and other kinds of smaller scale collaborations that you work with. How do you manage that? How do you kind of make sure that the balance exists there, that the smaller organizations aren't overwhelmed by the larger ones, and the kind of logistical challenges of working together?
So I think we all share the same goal of wanting to achieve social impact, whether that's health or sustainability. The way I like to think about it is, in addition to thinking about the impact, I also think about the value of doing something in partnership. And what I think partnerships can do is have impact that is either bigger, better, faster, or longer lasting. So those are the four metrics I think about to determine the success of the partnership. Can we grow the scale? Can we do it more efficiently? Can we make it last longer and more durable? Can we do it more quickly? And with organizations like yours, I think you really can contribute and lean in on figuring out how to do things differently, how to do things more efficiently, how to do things bigger. And then that's a nice partnership or a complement to organizations like ours, which can often do things bigger and at scale.
I agree with everything Lauren said. And I really do think it's getting people together in, whether it be in programs like this and initiatives like this, that those innovations are sparked, or even from a supply-based standpoint. One of the things we've done is we've started a Supplier Sustainability Council to really start the conversations of how do we make this change? How do we learn from each other? How do we share ideas? And one of the great things that's happened is those suppliers, most typically we work with our tier 1, sometimes our tier 2 suppliers. It's really difficult for us to get deep into the supply chain. As you can imagine, those numbers would just multiply very quickly. But our tier 1 suppliers are now starting their own sustainability supplier councils. And so those ideas around how we show up in a community, how we are a good neighbor, how we launch projects around energy efficiency or renewable energy, and they're taking those learnings and sharing it down the supply chain. So that impact just starts to multiply. And so whether it's a partnership like this, or it's with an individual supplier, or it's in a community, all of those things and those lessons that we can learn and share with each other really just, again, continue to expand that impact.
Let's stay with you, Kristen. We're going to mix it up, get kind of crazy
Now he's
here.
going to give me a hard question.
How is GM's approach, philanthropic approach, shifted or evolved as part of your broader sustainability strategy in recent years? Has it changed in response to or in sort of concert with shifting EV goals, economic headwinds, any other factors?
I mean, I think one of the beautiful things about sustainability, and particularly at GM, is I talked about our carbon footprint and our impact. We had a vision back in 2017 around zero crashes, zero emissions, zero congestion. And as we've developed our sustainability strategy, we set some pretty bold goals around being carbon neutral in our products and operations by 2040, and our aspiration to eliminate tailpipe emissions from new light-duty vehicles in the US by 2035. Those are huge goals, but they're not just sustainability goals, they're business goals. And so as you weave those strategies together, it really enables us to stay focused on our vision and on our future. So I wouldn't say that it has changed. I think it's continued to evolve, and really, doing the good things for sustainability is good for the business. And whether that's the engineer thinking about how the materials they're selecting for their parts, or it's what we're doing in a community, in an assembly plant that we're transitioning from producing ICE to EVs, and looking for those efficiencies and new technologies in the facility, it's really all weaved together. So it makes my job easier, but it also, I think, expands that impact because you're not making a choice. It's an and.
Right. So Lauren, let's talk just healthcare and data. I mean, as anybody who goes to the doctor knows, there is more and more data and more sort of tech involved in our interactions with healthcare than ever before, and it just feels like it's accelerating exponentially, far greater than it even in recent years. So how do you balance the sort of the kind of pressures and both the opportunities and the pressures on healthcare workers in collecting all this data and just sort of those folks who are ultimately responsible for delivering this equitable care?
So that tech really can make things much more efficient, as I just said. That's one of our key goals. But I want to emphasize that underlying that technology is the importance of people and relationships in designing with and for the communities that we serve. We work a lot in low resource settings, and I want to quote Dixon Shabanda from Zimbabwe, who says, people assume in low resource settings that they don't have resources. And that's not true. They have incredible talent and people. And we like to support those people to lift their voices up and design solutions, again, that take their voices into account. So we try to be really client-centered and user-centered in the technology that we design so that it serves the populations that we're trying to reach.
Thank you. Speed round, 30 seconds each. Kristen, I'm going to ask you both the same question. If you could leave the room here with one sort of nugget for a tweet or a thread or a post on LinkedIn, what would that be?
No pressure. I would say get started, right? I mean, that spark of innovation is really what is changing the world. And whether it's sometimes the smallest idea or the quickest idea can have the largest impact, and you can make a difference.
And I would say think about designing for scale. Take those nuggets of ideas and think about eventually how you can reach more people.
Thank you both. Fascinating conversation. Thanks to the audience for your careful attention. Kristen, I understand you have an announcement to make, so Lauren and I will leave the stage to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
What a great conversation. Thank you, Lauren and Brendan. I'm thrilled to be here with all of you to make an exciting announcement. General Motors is working toward becoming the most inclusive company in the world and is dedicated to making STEM education more accessible and equitable, all while pursuing a zero-emissions world. This is why we've worked many years with Solve to award the GM Prize. The GM Prize is open to solutions that help create smart, safe, and sustainable communities around the world. $150,000 will be awarded across up to 6 recipients from the Learning and Climate Challenges and the 2024 Indigenous Communities Fellowship. After much deliberation, we're thrilled to award the GM Prize to the following teams. Solvers, please join me on stage to accept this award as your name is called. MakerDost. The Tatum T1. Earthbond. Ox Delivers. Ina Quest. And Renewable Rebirth. Congratulations to all of you. We look forward to working with you to scale your impact in the many different places and topics that you are focusing on.
Congratulations again. There are many more prize announcements to come. But in addition to our prize funders, we work with organizations to design open innovation challenges that are tailored to their social and environmental issues. Together with Solve's global reach, our award-winning platform, our methodology, we find, select, and support innovators specific to their causes. Just like the prizes, it's a really effective way to deploy funds to the most deserving. So I'm very pleased to welcome Lynette Bell, president of Truist Foundation, with an announcement about our 3rd year working together.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be with the Solve community for the 3rd year. As Hala stated, my name is Lynette Bell, and I am president of the Truist Foundation. At Truist, our purpose really is to inspire and build better lives in community. It truly defines who we are as a bank and believes that we must support our communities in many ways. It's at the heart of every decision we make and remains at the core of the foundation. And so we are excited to present again the Truist Foundation Inspire Awards. The challenge is launching today, right now, at Solve Challenge Finals. One of our giving pillars is creating career pathways to economic mobility. This is really critical. We believe that by collaborating and partnering directly with nonprofit organizations, we can help underserved workers better navigate their employment journey. This year's Truist Foundation Inspire Awards focuses on supporting career navigation, and workforce development efforts for adults who are in the middle or late stages of their career across the Truist Foundation geographic coverage area, which spans as far as the eastern seaboard and as far as west as Texas. From now until January 8th, we will be accepting solutions that improve wraparound services and build coalitions for workers seeking to reskill, upskill, and career transitions to support both themselves and create a wealth trajectory for their families to come. 6 finalist teams will collectively receive more than $1 million in grants and wraparound support. Now that should get an applause. Our Truist Foundation Inspire Awards will culminate in a live pitch style event and ceremony where each finalist will showcase their innovative solutions. I encourage you to visit Solve's Open Challenge page to learn more and apply. We hope you'll join us in this collaboration and this essential work. Thank you so much.
Please welcome Celia Holmes-Indall, CEO, EQT Foundation, Mosun Leoti, Executive Director, African Philanthropy Forum, and moderator David Bank, Editor and CEO, Impact Alpha.
Good morning. Greetings, solvers, or as we say in our morning brief every morning, greetings, agents of impact, of which you all are. I'm so pleased to be here. We've worked with MIT Solve over the years. They've always been a tremendous source of innovation and talent, and I'm very much looking forward to meeting all the new solvers. So please come up and introduce yourself if you can. I think maybe some of you know about Impact Alpha. If you don't, we're a media platform around impact investing and sustainable finance. And if you want to get a free sampler of it, go to impactalpha.com/open, and that's our free weekly newsletter. You get a little taste of what we do. So many global leaders are in town this week, as you know, including our 2 panelists. So let's jump right in. 3 words kept coming up in our conversations beforehand: systems, trust, and entanglement. And let's take them in turn. Systematic requires a deep understanding of kind of the local context. And so I think if you could, I don't want you to have to summarize an entire continent, but if you can give us a little bit of the sense of the systems context you operate in Africa and then also Europe. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Really excited to be here and in the midst of solvers. I heard, when I was coming into the building, the first thing I heard was, "Are you a solver?" I didn't even know there was such a word. So super excited to be in the midst of solvers. I run African Philanthropy Forum, and we're a network of philanthropists that are committed to driving change on the African continent and reducing our reliance on international aid, because a lot of the support that comes to nonprofits and social enterprises in Africa are from the global north. And so we've been around for a while, and I'll just to give you a sense of how the African philanthropy landscape has evolved over the years. We are naturally givers in Africa. We are communal people. We rally around each other in time of need. But what we're not used to is being systemic or deliberate in the way that we give. And that's where African Philanthropy Forum comes in, because we work with members of our network to be more strategic in their giving. And we've seen an evolution over the past couple of years, and not just because of the work of APF, but because of the evolving landscape. And we're seeing more foundations being set up, and we're seeing organizations moving from being just operating foundations to being open and willing to work in collaboration with others, because the problems on the continent are enormous, and it will be challenging for only one individual or one foundation to solve. So we have an emergence of collaborative funds that are coming together, where we find philanthropists and foundations pooling resources to solve some of the most pressing issues that we have. And of course, impact investing is also coming into the space, especially as we have next-gen philanthropists coming up, because they think very differently from their parents, and they're exploring innovative and exciting ways of doing things and funding work on the African continent. So it's a plethora of giving, I would say, approaches that we have on the African continent, from grant making to impact investment and even to blended funding on the continent.
Great, great. Celia?
Yeah, I think a term that stuck to me when I was starting the foundation of EQT. So EQT is a global private equity investment company with 280 plus billion euros in asset under management. It's a big investment firm investing across real estate, infrastructure, ventures, private companies, and having this purpose of going in and future-proofing companies for the future. So when we started the foundation, we asked ourselves, what are the areas where capital is not flowing, where we have the expertise to help? And we designed a foundation that can both invest from a separate fund that doesn't come from EQT's investors' money, but where we can take on much more risk, supporting solvers like this, because there is a bridge in capital funding before we get into the more conventional markets. And then also, where can we support with grant funding, where to unlock some of these systemic ways of bringing capital. But I think it's this move. When we first started it, somebody told me, you have to make sure that you're not only throwing spaghetti on the wall and hoping that it sticks. Speaking to how many foundations were just hoping, like putting it out to a lot of nonprofits, not being very involved, but hoping that we're supporting good causes. This is going to create some impact on the ground. And now we're actually moving into more, I think it's been called lasagna finance, where you kind of stack capital on top of each other with a mission. And I think that's a great picture of what we're moving from and what we're moving to. And that's the way we're thinking now is, okay, how are we using our capital to come in to solve a system shift? And how is it working together with other types of capital? And how can philanthropies be part of de-risking conventional investors coming in to solve some of these issues? And I think that was where we talked about, my dream would really be to see more capital entanglement, where capital comes in and it shares a bigger vision of what it's there to solve. And it kind of looks around like, okay, you're going in investing in real estate to solve this. I'm going in investing in infrastructure. Okay, we need some innovation. We need somebody to go in and fund the solvers that will come into this ecosystem. And I think we're moving to that point. And I think that, to me, is really a symptom that we're moving in the right direction.
You jumped the gun on entanglement, but that's good to bring it in. But let's go to trust, and there's a sort of trust gap, let's just say, in many institutions, in many geographies. To be clear, sometimes with private equity, sometimes with billionaires, with many of the people you work with, and then also with communities on the ground. And maybe you can each give us an example of how you've helped build trust and sort of where it's worked, maybe if you want, where it hasn't worked.
Well, so trust is a big issue, especially for us on the African continent, because we find that there's a lot of concern about whether or not you're investing in an organization that exists, right? So we just concluded, a couple of years ago, we conducted research with Britspan that showed that majority of funders are unable to give because they can't identify credible givers. And so we started a platform called StartPoint, which brings together organizations, whether nonprofits or social enterprises, that are working on the African continent that we have vetted, so that they can go to the platform and identify an organization and believe that these organizations would actually do what they say they would do. That's one. The other, just generally speaking in the spaces, we continue to create spaces for conversations and for investors and philanthropists to come in contact with the doers, and so that they can exchange and understand the work that they do and break down the barriers and the silos and trust issues. We actually have sessions where we say, we bring donors into the room that say, ask a donor anything, or what the NGOs want to know from a funder. So it's just ensuring that we're creating those opportunities for them to connect, to share, and demystify, any issues that they have in between them, And also ensuring that, when funds, telling our stories, I think that's what I would say, telling stories of successful initiatives that have been backed and have been successful and they have scaled. I think sharing such also helps in terms of building trust in communities.
Great.
I think when it comes to trust, what we're experiencing is, when we started the foundation, a lot of people challenged us, do you really want to be investing? Isn't it just better to give them free money? And I'll turn to the solvers. And I hope you agree with me that it's really important for you to have investors on your cap table with the experience from the investment industry saying, we're actually backing this and we're putting all our resources and we bet on this. So what we like to say is that we have skin in the game of making this work. But we do invest in a philanthropic way where we take smaller strategic tickets and then we bring in the same amount of resources as if we had a higher equity stake. Because this leaves plenty of room on the cap table for other investors to come in, and then we can be part of de-risking the solver or the startup for more funders to come in. And I think you also want to build trust in the equity narrative of the startup. And I think this is specifically important to get right for all the solvers, and I'm happy to discuss or chat with you later today after your pitches, but how are we telling the story that this is something that's going to be funded and scaled, knowing the new type of capital instruments that are coming in for impact, both on the project financing side, but different types of debt funding, etc. We see some startups that's really made it big, like Zipline, that just reached their 1 million drone deliveries of blood or medical supplies, mostly also working in Africa. And I think it's great to see, but one of their biggest customers is the government of Rwanda. So what is the, what are the new equity narrative of these companies that will make or provide atmosphere that the capital providers can kind of stack up against and be ready to fund it as it scales? I think we're looking at how can we unlock that at each place by creating trust in the equity narrative.
Right. Let's stick with you because you were the source of entanglement, and you've gotten into a little bit, but there's different levels of capital, and EQT, as folks probably know, is one of the largest private equity companies in the world. You're the foundation, but you're also doing investing. So how do you think about what goes in what bucket and how to make it all fit together?
So I think our investment thesis is really based on the areas where our colleagues on the investment side of EQT felt, we really want this to work. We really want to invest in this. But our clients or pension funds and fiduciary responsibilities doesn't stretch into the seed market. We didn't have the investment mandates. And then we asked ourselves, how would it look if we could pull our resources and invest in the really early stages where some of the biggest funding gaps are, and in the sectors where the time horizons often are longer. So we know on climate innovation or new climate technologies, they need to build these massive plants to get to scale and meaningful CO2 removals. And there's a lot of capital needing to get to that size. And how can we help them, connect them through one of EQT's 300 portfolio companies as first customers to accelerate the time it takes to get to that size. And on the healthcare side, we also see getting through clinical trials. We have then we match startups and founders together with healthcare portfolio companies that are going through the same clinical trials, that knows the local markets, et cetera, so that you also can fast forward a little of the process to scale.
Great. And Mohsen, similar question, but your African Philanthropy Forum is kind of at the forefront of this trend of African capital for African challenges. And it's true in philanthropy. It's also happening, I think, with pension funds and institutional investors, insurance companies. So how do you think about how your members and your kind of capital fits in the whole stack of what's needed?
Yeah, so our members are mainly traditional givers, not necessarily impact investors, but there are some that are investing in this space as well. So I think it's understanding, their appetite and what fits who, what the philanthropists are open to supporting and funding. And so we have a variety of members of our network that are supporting different initiatives. So for instance, we would have like Motsepe Foundation partnering with the Milken Institute, and their partnership, I believe, has gone into the 3rd round. They've supported initiatives on the continent in agri-tech, they've supported in fintech, they've supported, I think, green energy. We have Harambe that decided to take a systems change lens to solving problems in South Africa, where they decided to address the youth unemployment issue in South Africa, and they've scaled enough to even work with the government of Rwanda. I believe Rwanda is one of the most progressive when it comes to advancing some of these initiatives on the African continent. And we also have Faith Foundation, which is very interesting in Nigeria, because they started out training non-profit organizations, not non-profits, entrepreneurs on how to build sustainable businesses, and they have partnered with the government of Netherlands. I think they pulled together 1.5 million euros, and they supported about 800 or 700 entrepreneurs, youth-led businesses that have generated about 700 jobs and 6 million euros in revenue. So I think it's finding the risk appetite of members of our network and challenging them to support the initiatives that are doing great work on the African continent.
Great. The other word that always comes up is scale, and we're running down on time, but if you had an example of something that started small and has now gotten big that you've played some role in.
So we had a founder who came to us with a theory that they could make trees grow faster and capture more carbon. And we looked at each other and were like, this sounds kind of crazy. And we went to our advisors, so EQT has a big network of experts and scientists, and they came back to us and said, in theory, this is supposed to be possible. And we're like, okay, let's bet on it. We did our due diligence, we went in. 3 months later, they'd proven that they could grow trees 40% faster and capture double the amount of CO2. And it was led in an internal up round of all the investors backing the initiative. We later introduced the founder through our infrastructure investment colleagues in the US to a landowner that secured their first big contract of planting 4 million trees. And I think that was such a moment where we're like, this is why we're doing this. And seeing that actually is coming to scale is super cool to see.
Great, great.
Yeah, I think I'll just stick to Faith Foundation because I think we're at 0. Because that was an incredible story from how they started as a nonprofit, training entrepreneurs and then moving to investing in them and growing, creating jobs. And if you know, one of the biggest challenges on the African continent is employment. And when they're creating employment and also generating revenue, it's interesting to see how far they would go in the coming years.
Great. And let me just borrow a little bit of a moment and a trick from our predecessor panel and give you a chance for a hashtag or one takeaway, one word, one pearl of wisdom that you want to leave people with.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, from my panel yesterday, I'll just say what I said at my panel yesterday. Stop talking, start doing.
Great.
It's a great one. I'll say capital entanglement. I think we need this time in, this moment in time when we all align capital to do good and we kind of connect around missions. So moving to that.
Great. And with that, we will stop talking. So thank you both, and thank you all for having us.
Thank you.
And now, please welcome back Hala Hanna, Executive Director, MIT Solve.
I'm going to be thinking about that lasagna for a while. I'm really excited to announce our next speaker. He's leading climate advocacy for the Maldives, His Excellency Minister Tariq Ibrahim. He spent a long career bringing public and private sectors together. And as the Minister for Climate Change, Environment, and Energy, he represents the plight of small island states dealing with the climate crisis. MIT has a lot of work with the Maldives, including a collaboration between all of our labs and the Maldives, studying how to protect the nation's coastlines from rising sea levels. We will hear about that project in the afternoon. But for now, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Minister Tariq Brahim to South Challenge Finals.
Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, a very good morning to you all. It is a privilege to address you today on behalf of His Excellency President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu to highlight how the Maldives has harnessed climate innovations to strengthen resilience within our island nations. I would like to express my gratitude to MIT Solve for organizing this event and offering the Maldives the opportunity to share our insights on climate innovation strategies. Our nation comprises over 1,200 coral islands scattered across the Indian Ocean, has long faced the impact of climate change and rising sea levels. This is not a new concern for us. As far back as 1989, the Maldives host a sea level rise conference in Male, it's our capital, sounding the alarm to the international community on the existential threat posed by climate change. At the time, our message was clear. The Maldives and many other low-lying island nations were on the front line of a crisis we are not responsible for, a crisis that the world could not longer afford to ignore. Sadly, decades later, the world still struggles to rise to the challenge. Our commitment to lead on climate action has only strengthened. Today, the Maldives is no longer just a symbol of vulnerability. We are positioning ourselves as a leader in climate innovation. And it is this transformation that defines our vision for the future. At the heart of this vision is the belief that the Maldives can be a hub for climate innovation, turning the very vulnerabilities that threaten us into opportunities for resilience, sustainability, and leadership. One of the boldest examples of this vision is Hulumale, an artificial island designed to be climate resilient with sea level rise projections heavily considered when determining the elevation of the island. Hulumale stands 1.8 meter above mean sea level, higher than the natural island elevation, and adaptation measures against the looming threats of sea swells and flooding. Hulumale represents more than just urban expansion. It is a living laboratory for sustainable development, integrating renewable energy, modern water management, and climate adaptive infrastructure. We are leveraging advanced technology and design a creative island that can withstand the impact of climate change. Hulumale development showcases how innovation solutions can address not just the immediate needs of today, but create a resilient modern models for the future. Inspired by Hulumale's success, Maldives is resolute in extending the model of development through new eco-city we call Rasmale. Maldives is also taking steps to improve our systematic observation capabilities under the umbrella of the UN Secretary General's Early Warning for All initiative. We are planning to introduce multi-hazard warning system that includes impact-based forecasting to enhance the precision of our weather and climate predictions. In 2023, Maldives became the first country among the Priority 30 countries to publish a roadmap to achieve 100% coverage of the Early Warning for All initiative. While a major challenge has always been the accessibility of high-resolution satellite imagery to assess impacts, we are working with numerous partners to enhance our access to this data. Maldives is a small island state, yet our mark on the global innovation map is vast. We want the world to see the Maldives not just as a nation fighting for survival, but as a beacon of hope, creativity, and leadership in the global climate movement. The challenge we face may be immense, but they also provide an impetus for groundbreaking solutions that will benefit not only our people, but the entire planet. Our vision is bold, but it is necessary. And with the support of our global partners, we can make it a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. You know, the issues that we're talking about today are so dire, and it's like this balance between acknowledging the reality of what's happening and also all of this hope that we all have that is embodied with our innovators today that are changing things on the ground. So I just wanted to acknowledge, you know, this yin and yang. And as I was reflecting on the previous panel, trust, and we were talking about trust earlier, it can come in so many different ways, right? There is the trust of the model of giving unrestricted funding, like with our prizes, and saying we trust you to make the most of this impact. There is also the trust, as Celia was saying, of investing and putting skin in the game and saying we know you're going to make it out, and we want to be part of this. So that's where the beauty of it all. We need it all. And of course, trust is not built overnight, and we can't establish trust without representation. So today's tech is trained on data that represents a fraction of the world. It's like our humanity story is being told by too few people. And we know the danger of a single story. Great TED Talk. That is why our solvers work is so critical. You've come from Lima, Dhaka, Accra, Jebjenin. You're working on an AI platform that creates zero-waste fashion, a robotic hand that helps deafblind individuals communicate, a platform matching formerly incarcerated individuals with living wage careers. These 30 innovators are rewriting the future and narrating our story with many, many, many more voices. Thank you for that. So as you listen to the pitches and you meet solvers, ask yourselves, what am I uniquely positioned to help with? What role can I play in this story? Sometimes we are unsure how we can contribute to complex, overwhelmingly complex challenges in a meaningful way. Consider this your opportunity. Now it is high time we hear from the 2024 Solver class. So let's go to the pitches. Thank you very much.